Am I the asshole for confronting my ex-husband's new wife over her treatment of my daughter? I find myself in a complicated situation involving my ex-husband and his new wife. We divorced 5 years ago, and while our marriage ended, our priority has always been our 10-year-old daughter, Lily. Initially, everything was smooth. My ex-husband and I shared custody of Lily, and we both made an effort to maintain a friendly co-parenting relationship. However, things took a turn for the worse when my ex-husband introduced Lily to his new girlfriend, now his wife, Sarah. At first, I was happy for my ex-husband to have found love again. But it didn't take long for me to notice that Sarah was treating Lily differently from her own children. She has 2 kids from a previous marriage, and while she's affectionate and kind to them, she often excludes Lily. Lily would come home after her weekends with her dad and Sarah, tearfully recounting incidents where she felt left out, ignored, or even bullied by Sarah's children. Lily's self-esteem took a hit, and she started acting out at home and at school. I tried to address this issue with my ex-husband, explaining how it was affecting Lily's emotional well-being. He assured me that he would talk to Sarah about it. However, nothing seemed to change. Sarah's behavior persisted, and Lily continued to suffer. Feeling helpless, I decided to take matters into my own hands. One day, after dropping Lily off at her dad's place, I asked to speak with Sarah privately. I calmly expressed my concerns and told her how Lily was feeling left out and hurt. I suggested that we could all sit down and discuss how to make this transition easier for Lily. Sarah, however, became defensive and accused me of meddling in her family. She even insinuated that I was trying to drive a wedge between her and my ex-husband. Our conversation quickly escalated into an argument, with neither of us willing to back down. After that confrontation, my ex-husband and I had a heated discussion. He accused me of causing problems in his new marriage and demanded that I stay out of his business. I argued that our daughter's well-being should be our top priority, and I couldn't ignore her pain. In the end, my ex-husband and I haven't spoken since that argument, and Lily's situation hasn't improved. I can't help but wonder if I should have handled things differently. Am I the asshole for confronting my ex-husband's new wife over her treatment of my daughter, even if it strained our co-parenting relationship and led to further tensions in their marriage? Not the asshole. Our daughter's well-being should be our top priority. Unfortunately, only one of you thinks this. Not the asshole. Standing up for your daughter is the right thing to do. I'd ask her what she wants to do regarding visiting, and be prepared for her to change her mind a couple of times. Just let her know that you support whatever decision she makes and that you will love her whatever, so that she doesn't feel that seeing him would be betraying you. But you need to record these events and take him to court for emotional abuse and neglect for your daughter. Not the asshole. Stop sending her. She is old enough to tell a court how she feels and that she doesn't want to go there. If he wants to have a relationship with her, he can pick her up and take her out for dinner and a movie or activities and bring her home after. Not the asshole. Having a talk about it with Sarah was the right thing to do. It only became a confirmation because she chose to. She could easily hear you out and respectfully answer how she sees it from her end. And as a mom, I would expect her to understand your concern and cooperate. But her response hints me that she knows you are right. And the attack and the accusation that you are trying to hurt her marriage is a poor deflection of the real issue. X200B. It's sad that your ex didn't even stop for 1 second to understand whether you might be right, and that his daughter is in pain. Just shows where his priorities are. I have an evil stepmom. Please do all you can to protect your daughter. The abuse will have lasting effects. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, and I'd possible I would ask your daughter whether she still wants to visit them or not, and try and have a conversation with her dad whilst your daughter is there. Info. Lily would come home after her weekends with her dad and Sarah, tearfully recounting incidents where she felt left out, ignored, or even bullied by Sarah's children. This is very, very vague. Is it simply not having enough time with her dad for herself? Or is it they all went to Disneyland without me? Or simply Sarah just spending quality time with her kids and not yours? I was in almost the exact same situation. My ex always took his wife's side and ignored everything she did and said to the kids. I finally got proof of her hidden nasty behaviors when one of my kids accidentally butt dialed me. And I heard her scream at them for almost an hour. Be protective and get her out of that situation. Info. You give no examples in your op. How is she being left out, bullied? Info. What are some examples of how she's being excluded, bullied? What are the ages of the step-siblings? Blended family dynamics are complicated. It's natural emo if Sarah is sometimes doing things just with her biological daughters. Just like her dad should sometimes do one-on-one activities with your daughter. And it's normal not to want to include your new step-sibling in everything. Here is an easy solution. Go to family court. Have her say what is happening and how she feels. Get full custody. I know it won't be that easy, but input from the child will definitely help with a custody battle. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Don't make her go to her dad's anymore. These kinds of wounds can last a lifetime. I've seen it happen to a half-sibling who was mistreated by his dad's new wife. I think Sarah is treating your daughter differently because she's threatened by her as a vestige of your ex's marriage to you. Not the asshole. You handled it as an adult should. Your ex and his insecure wife acted like children. Not the asshole. Your daughter is suffering and your ex is as much use as a chocolate fireguard. H should have been the one to sort it out, but since he simply didn't do that, you are quite right to protect your daughter. Time to revisit your custody agreement. No court is going to look favorably on a situation where a child's mental health is suffering because of the actions of a step-parent and then the inaction of their parent. Speak to a lawyer and follow their advice to the letter. If you have to go to court, you need to make it as straightforward for yourself and Lily as possible. I think Lily needs counseling to get to the bottom of this. 1. She is acting out your words. 2. You are excusing her acting out based on Lily's version of events, but something you haven't witnessed for yourself. 3. Did you get a different version of events from the other house that you don't believe? Either way, it is Lily that is acting out at school and at home. The best help and perspective might be from an experienced family counselor that isn't biased. Nah. Info. Did Sarah agree to be a parent to Lily? How is Lily being left out, ignored, and bullied? Are there specific examples, or are you just expecting Sarah and her children to immediately accept Lily as family without even considering if they want that? Not the asshole. Your ex and Sarah should remember that the kids' happiness should always be a shared responsibility. Info. What types of specific incidents would your daughter describe? Not what Lily felt, but the concrete circumstances that led to the feelings. Reddit hive mind activated, commencing hatred of stepmother without proof initiated. Not the asshole. Time to take action with a lawyer in court. Did you have specific examples of why your daughter was feeling left out? Also, you need to be aware that her relationship with the stepmom won't be exactly as her step-siblings is. How old are her step-siblings? What are examples of being left out or bullied? Am I the asshole for telling my wife I hate her new job? My wife and I have been married for 12 years and have 3 kids 10, 8, 6. During the pandemic, my wife's job allowed her to switch to 100 WFH. They never required her to go back to the office because her productivity actually increased, so there was no need. It made things easier for us too. I dropped the kids off at school daycare in the morning and she picked them up in the afternoon. She was able to keep up with a few things around the house during the day. We saved on gas and car maintenance, etc. A few months ago, she was contacted by a recruiter about a job. It would be a nice step up in her career path as well as a boost in pay. But there were drawbacks. The company had no WFH policy and would require her to work in the office. This was apparently non-negotiable. It would also be a 45-minute commute for her. We talked it over a lot and I expressed my concerns about how this would impact our daily lives. I told her that I don't necessarily think that the bump in pay is worth the major changes to our daily lives. Not to mention the stress that a long commute can have on people and that could impact their mood and how they interact at home. She assured me that everything would be fine and that we would adjust as a family and soon the new routine would just become our new normal. I told her that I would never tell her not to take the job. But I just don't know if it is worth the changes that it is going to bring. Ultimately, the decision was hers and she accepted the new job. She's been there for about 10 weeks now. To say it has been an adjustment is an understatement. She wakes up and leaves before the kids even get up. She'll help get a few things ready for them before she goes. But the entire morning kid routine is on me. I also do both drop off and pick up for all the kids too. Evenings have been a huge mess because I get home and try to get the kids distracted while I start dinner. When my wife gets home, she is usually stressed from the drive her commute has turned into over an hour due to construction and traffic and takes 15 minutes for herself to calm down before eating alone. Then, after dinner she's going to bed earlier because she has to wake up earlier. I told her that I feel her new job has put an unfair amount of household and childcare duties on me, and that she is being far less present in our lives when she's home. She told me that we just need to give it more time to adjust and things will get easier. I told her that 10 weeks is a pretty good adjustment period and I hate it so far. She told me I'm being an unsupportive jerk and I need to give it more time. Edit: I don't have the emotional bandwidth right now to deal with the huge amount of sexist BS I'm getting here. Those kind of responses are why men don't open up when they feel exactly like I do right now and just bottle this up. I have to get ready to pick up my kids. They're getting Happy Meals tonight because F it. Info: how shared was the housework and childcare before she started this job? Asking to clarify because a lot of people are assuming you did nothing after you got home from work. Info: what were you doing before the pandemic? What was the routine when she wasn't working from home? How did you manage? You had the first talk. Great. Now you need to both sit down and agree what you want life to look like now. Who does what and when? I have had a job where I worked long hours and didn't get paid well. Now in my career I am doing more interesting work, getting paid well, and largely setting my own hours. It's wonderful and my soul loves it too. But those earlier years led up to this new job. I had to pay my dues to get where I am now. Guessing by your and your wife's age, and from your reference to her job being an advance in her career, it sounds like this might be the kind of job where she is setting herself up for a better situation in the future. Try to work out some compromises now. And hang in there. You two are talking past each other. You say you wanted to come up with solutions but you don't suggest any actual solutions. She was dismissive of your concerns and also didn't suggest any solutions. She's making more money. Use that to outsource some of this stuff. As a general matter, I don't think it's fair to expect that over the course of a lifetime, your spouse's career will never require you to pick up the slack at home. These things tend to shift. She handled more stuff while she was WFH. Now it's your turn. If it's unsustainable for you, then absolutely talk about solutions. But I hate it is not a solution. Nah. 10 weeks isn't long enough to adjust to a big change. I firmly believe life is rarely 50-50. Sounds like she was picking up a hit more while she was WFH. Now you're picking up a bit more while she's commuting. Chances are it'll shift again in the future. Kids can watch telly or play quietly while you cook dinner. Make liberal use of the slow cooker, freezer, and quick food. Wife does morning and evenings at the weekend since you do it during the week. Kids are old enough to help around the house. Keep talking to each other. Give everyone time to settle into the new situation. You'll get there. Info. What are her working hours? If she works a 9-5, are you saying your kids are not awake by 8 a.m. and she is going to bed at 7 p.m.? I used to have a 45 minutes to 1 hour commute. It's not that bad. In fact, I'd anticipate most working adults pre-pandemic had similar commutes. Not the asshole. I don't understand the people saying it's your time to do it, when you've pointed out the fact that before her new job, you both used to split the kids' routine together, and I don't see what the issue is with keeping up with housework since she worked from home. It seems like you had a good dynamic going on and balanced teamwork. This sounds like a normal family. The vast majority of families now have two parents working full-time and make it work. You got used to your wife being able to do more. Now you have to adjust to having less time to do things, and it will take a while. You're the asshole for being a sulky child about this instead of giving it time to get into a new routine. Nah, you shared the responsibilities when she was WFH, and I think that it's fair that it does need to be slightly more equal than it is. Obviously, she physically can't do pick up and drop off, but she could pick up different responsibilities. Also, she's been at the job for 10 weeks. Is there any flexibility in the hours at all? A lot of corporates etc. are trying to be at least a little more accommodating of parents these days. Sadly, because it's the trend and they know they have to compete for their ideal candidates, rather than out of the goodness of their hearts. They might not, but it's worth ruling it out. Nah. With a slight esh, it's an adjustment you didn't want from the beginning. So you gotta admit you're going to be more short-tempered about it not working right away. What have you done to try to make things easier for yourself? It's not on your wife to make everything in your life easier. Just as it's not your job to make everything easier for her. That being said, you should talk to your wife about how you both can work to make everything easier for both of you. Marriage is a partnership, and you're both forgetting each other because you're both hurting in your own ways. You both need a little more empathy and patience. You're the asshole. You are upset that you're trading roles. It sounds like she did the brunt of the household and childcare, and it is only fair that you take a turn in that. It sounds like you need marriage counseling. Find a balance together. You're the asshole. 10 weeks isn't enough to adjust to the routine. It takes a good 6 months to establish relationships and work respects before flexing work schedule is easier to accommodate. Yes, it sucks, but man up. Also, I'm dude who does my share because honestly it ain't that hard. Reread what you wrote, and I think you may understand how it comes across. Every time you say it made it easier for us or that her new job makes it harder for us, you keep using we and us, but she worked from home and did all of the majority of the childcare and housework. It made it easier for you because she carried more burden. Now it's harder for you because you have to set up and be a partner. It's not sexism. It's equal division of labor. Am I the asshole for leaving menstrual pads in a visible place in the bathroom? My husband, his friend, and I are currently on vacation, sharing a rented apartment with just one bathroom. Yesterday, I got my period and bought some pads. I left them on the bathroom counter in a semi-sheer bag, where they weren't even visible. However, my husband thought this was inappropriate and could make his friend uncomfortable, knowing that someone in the apartment is bleeding. I argued that menstruation is a natural process and should not be considered gross or dirty. Women shouldn't be shamed or stigmatized because of it, as this has historically caused women to suffer. My husband didn't respond, but I'm still wondering if I was in the wrong for leaving the pads this way. Edit: can we get any feedback from males? My husband says all responses are from females, and that's why I was voted not the asshole. Verified man here. You must be joking. He was upset that there were unopened feminine hygiene products on the counter? I think your husband is a 12-year-old boy in disguise. Not the asshole. Maybe if you left used pads unwrapped on the counter, that would be an issue. But menstrual supplies are just a normal part of human existence, and your husband needs to get over it. Not the asshole for the exact reasons you stated. If it makes his friend uncomfortable, I would be very surprised and concerned. Does toilet paper make him uncomfortable? Knowing that someone in the apartment is pooping? Tears of joy. It's just a natural bodily process. If a 30-year-old is made uncomfortable by the idea of being around a woman on her period, that's kind of a him problem, not a you one. Not the asshole. I, a man, carry them in my bag as part of my first aid kit because one time there was an emergency and my so needed one and didn't have one. So if that ever happens again, I will be ready. Edit. Your edit is pretty sad, and very telling that he had a pretty uneducated and misogynistic upbringing. TBH, I had a pretty conservative upbringing and zero education about the matter. But any rational and mature person should learn to adapt. Hopefully he can use this as an opportunity to reconsider his views. What if he ever has a daughter? My husband thought this was inappropriate and could make his friend uncomfortable, knowing that someone in the apartment is bleeding. Not the asshole. Your husband is, though. At any given time, approximately 20-25 of all the women on Earth of childbearing age are menstruating. It's possible that one of those women might be in close proximity to your husband and his friend. Does your husband seriously think his friend can't handle that idea? Anyone who has such weird notions about menstruation should not be allowed anywhere near a vagina until they grow up. That edit is major red flags. Your edit makes your husband look even worse. Only the opinions of other men matter? Okay. Edit to add not the asshole. Guy. Not the asshole. WTF? Not the asshole. You're not smacking a used pad across his friend's forehead. Menstruation is normal. Freaking out over sealed unused pads on a bathroom counter is not normal. Not the asshole. From the title, I assumed used. From reading, they are literally clean and unopened. Your husband and his friend can grow the fuck up. Does he hide unused band-aids, too? Not the asshole. Guy here. It's stupid and juvenile to be comfortable around someone who's menstruating. Grow up, guys. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Husband has some issues. Does he get embarrassed if you leave tissues out because someone in the house has mucus? Not the asshole. Anyone living with a menstruating woman should accept the fact that yes, in fact, sometimes you will be on your period and have menstrual products within reach. If he had a cold and you made him hide all the tissues in the house, I am sure it would annoy him too. Lol. Male here. Responding to the edit. Grow up. Husband-man. Women shouldn't be made to hide or feel shame for a bodily function they can't control. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. We are women. We bleed. It happens. Get over it. It's just the way our bodies work. Any man who cannot deal with the simple biological truth is too immature to be in a relationship with a woman. Misogynists are always the assholes. Not the asshole. It's actually your husband who has the issue, not his mate. You have realized that, I hope. For me, that's a real worry for whatever other archaic notions he has about women. Why are men so up their asses about women on their period? Blood comes from the vagina, a place men like to spend time in 3 weeks out of the month. 1 week we bleed out of that same place, and all of a sudden we should hide in a shed in a field. Because it's gross and dirty? Not the asshole. These are unused pads. However, my husband thought this was inappropriate and could make his friend uncomfortable, knowing that someone in the apartment is bleeding. Has his friend said anything, or is this just pure speculation from your husband? Man here. Husband is ta. You're not the asshole. Do we care if there are men out there who are made uncomfortable by menstrual products? No, we do not. Do we care if men are made uncomfortable by the sight of women breastfeeding their babies? No, we do not. Do we care if misogynists are creeped out by normal female activities? No, we do not. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's 2023. Not the Dark Ages. Menstruation is as natural as breathing. If his friend can't handle the sight of a pad, he needs to grow up. Not the asshole. A man isn't going to melt if he sees a packet of pads. Dude here. Honestly couldn't care less, and my girlfriend keeps some in the bathroom along with tampons and liners. All visible. To me they are typical bathroom items. I liken them to toilet paper or tissues. Sounds like your husband needs to change his perspective. It's a natural process that isn't going to disappear for a long time. He should be supportive given the difficulties that come alongside it. My girlfriend gets bad period pain. I couldn't imagine watching her suffer and saying your period makes me uncomfortable. Not the asshole. If he persists, ask him to hide his undergarments cause they make you uncomfortable. Not the asshole. My GF has tampons in the master bath, the guest bath, her laptop bag, her backpack, and in the door pockets and the glove compartment of her car. It's good to have in reach. And if someone still gets uncomfortable about the idea of a period when they're 30, that's entirely their problem. Even the edit makes your husband sound like an asshole. Jesus Christ, it's a fucking period. It's not like shat on the counter. Not the asshole. Your husband needs to grow up. I am a single guy living on my own, and even I have menstrual pads and tampons in both my bathrooms. Visible for everyone to see and for everybody to use. You never know when it comes, and people are not always prepared. Then it is great that they can grab what they need and don't have to be grossed out or ashamed. I also always have tampons in my backpack. Nothing is more annoying than going out with friends and someone noticed she got her period but doesn't have anything with her. Something like that is for that person a mood killer. Always happy to help provide. Only happened a couple of times. Not the asshole. I hope you got a discount for traveling with 2 children. Info is the 30 against your husband and his friend in years or months. Get a grip, you too. Male here. Your husband is still a prepubescent child. I imagine he is also too weak as piss to go the shops and buy you some. Tell him a real man told him to grow the fuck up. Periods are a natural part of living live with it.
Am I the asshole for asking girlfriend not to leave used tissues or pads out? I'm 24. She is 28. This is my first apartment that is reasonable to have guests, and my first long-term girlfriend. She has left used tissue and sanitary products in the floor of my bathroom on 2 occasions. Both had bodily fluids on them, one blood and one mucus. I had just cleaned and had to wipe the floors and trash can down again. I had to make a bucket to do that. I don't hate cleaning, but I would rather not clean and instead do other things. I am also often tired after work. She asked for my honest opinion and I told her that the name is silly and her husband is right. I tried to say this gently, but really how gently can you tell someone their idea is stupid? I suggested that she goes back to the drawing board on that one and maybe look at names of lesser-known anime characters if that's what she wants. Maisie got upset and said the name is cute and we're both just being closed-minded. I told her she asked for my honest opinion and she got it. She kept trying to convince me that it was a good name and the conversation was becoming hysterical and I told her it's a stupid name, end of discussion. She started crying and left and since then she's been giving me the cold shoulder. Our parents told me to just tell Maisie that I'm sorry because my words really upset her and I should have been nicer about it. But it is a stupid name for a child outside of the anime world. She can give the baby a normal name but call him Luffy as a nickname or something. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Why can't she just call the baby Luffy, but actually give them a name that is not fucking ridiculous? Luffy is kinda funny though, I will keep it in mind if we ever get a new cat. Not the asshole. I think she's losing sight that she's naming a future adult, not a forever baby. She could use it as a nickname, but as a legal name? It's awful. Kids are brutal, they'll find any reason to bully if they're inclined to bully, but parents don't need to hand them material. Not the asshole. Luffy is a stupid name. Can you imagine Luffy Jones on a resume? Haha, come on. Our parents told me to just tell Maisie that I'm sorry because my words really upset her and I should have been nicer about it. This has me wondering. Were you actually mean, or more harsh than you let on in this post? Or are your parents just protective of your sister? Luffy is not a good name for a child in my opinion. It's more suited for a stuffed animal, or a new innovative pillow brand. Or something. You can have a unique name without it being comical. Not the asshole. That is a stupid name. That kid will be bullied. Kids have to live with their name until they're 18. Just because someone is super into anime or DD or whatever doesn't mean that should carry over into naming their child. Different? Fine. Unisex? Fine. A name practically guaranteed to get a kid bullied? You're an R. Luffy for a boy is a terrible name. Even for a girl I'm very hesitant because it's way too cute. But she asked your opinion and you gave it, not the asshole. She's naming a baby, not a puppy. That kid will absolutely be bullied. Not R. Her child is not a billboard for her fandom. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. The day a bully starts to call her Luff and then transitions that to Muff will be the beginning of her demise. Not the asshole. Luffy's name is Monkey D. Luffy, why didn't she consider naming him Monkey? Not the asshole. Tell her to imagine future Dr. Luffy Smith or President Luffy Smith or even Teacher Luffy Smith. It is a cute name for a baby, but she is having a whole human who will become an adult someday. Not the asshole. People really need to learn not to ask questions they don't want the answer to. I think it's always tacky when people name their kids after pop culture characters when it's a unique name and easy to associate with the show. You're absolutely right that the kid would get bullied. People who ask for an honest opinion and then get angry when it's given RTA. Not the asshole. I would have told my sister the exact same thing. If she's asking for your honest opinion, she can't be upset if it's different than what she wants to hear. Not the asshole. She shouldn't ask questions that she doesn't truly want an answer to. On another note, you could suggest Luffy as a nickname. She could use a name like Lucas or Lucien, which will work for him as an adult and make it less likely for him to be bullied or turned away from a job. Woman shrugging. Edit autocorrect made Luffy to Kiddy. I had to fix it, rolling eyes face. Not the asshole. Not a fan of fandom names overall, but if she really must, then she should pick a character from the show with a real name: Robin, Frankie, Brooke, or Tony, smiley face. Not the asshole. I love One Piece, both the anime series and shockingly the live-action movie, but I sure as hell wouldn't name my kid Luffy. Goofy Luffy or Puffy Luffy seem like natural nicknames. Poor kid. Even Usopp, Nico, Kobe, or Shanks from the series are way names better after the kid is 5-6. Info: is she giving birth to a kitten? Perhaps a puppy? Some other cute pet who has no chance of being introduced? As all rise for the Honorable Judge Luffy last name. Not the asshole. Luffy and Chili are both name ideas that should never come to fruition. Forcing your fandom on your offspring is always a bad idea. Natar. Baby names need both parents' consent. One no veto. Look, she can call him Luffy as a nickname, but he needs a different name. I think these discussions need to be between your sister and her husband. You may have been a bit harsh, but she kept pushing it. Not the asshole. Natar, since she asked. And both parents should agree on the name. I would just like to point out all of the people that named their kid Khaleesi when GOT first came out and how they regret it now. She should obviously give him a real name and call him Luffy as a pet name. As it is and always will be, don't ask questions if you just want to be agreed with. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She asked for your honest opinion and now she's mad that she got it. Naming a kid after a fandom is unbelievably risky, even if it's a normal name. Picking a name that is immediately, identifiably from an anime? No. She needs to remember that she's not just naming a baby, she's naming a person. The name being cute is not the only consideration. He will be named Luffy as a cute baby, and as a 15-year-old teen boy, and as a 30-year-old man. Okay, probably not as a 30-year-old, because legal name changes are a thing. Not the asshole. This is your nephew and your mom's grandson. Do you guys care about him? If yes, then don't let this name happen. Your sister isn't listening and just wants to get her way. Try to get her to see sense before he comes. Not the asshole. It's ultimately up to her what to name the child, but she asked for your honest opinion and you gave it. Luffy is not a good name choice. As a child they will be bullied and as an adult they will not be taken seriously. Also, naming your child after a fandom is a straight-up awful choice. The child might have no interest in anime. One Piece could have a new season or reboot that changes the meaning of the name. That child is going to have a whole lifetime of Luffy, Luffy. No, it's from a TV show. Yes, my mom really liked it. As a middle name, fine. As a first name? Kinda cruel. Not the asshole. She asked you a question and you gave her an honest answer. You tried to give your answer in a really nice way and then she flew off the handle. She seems like she only wanted you to be a yes man and not answer honestly. If she wanted that, she shouldn't have asked. Not the asshole. She kept on after you gave your opinion. That's on her. An adult named Luffy, good grief. Not the asshole. I was actually considering Luffy for a pet, so cute name. The problem for an actual human male is that there is no way for it to grow up. If they are actually considering Luffy for a little girl, I would suggest that they switch over to Nami. Not the asshole. She asked, you answered. That's not a guarantee you'll agree with her. You were honest and that's all you can do. And yes, that poor kid would be teased for that name. Not the asshole. She asked for your opinion and you gave it. Luffy is something you'd name a hamster. Not the asshole. She's naming a human, not a puppy. Luffy is not a human name. Also, naming a child should be 2 yes or it's a no.
Am I the asshole? For putting my niece in the same room as my daughter even though we had a spare? On a throwaway. I and my BF have 3 kids. Aged 3. Triplets. When we moved into the house, it has 4 bedrooms. We have 1. Our daughter has 1. And the boys share. And then a playroom for their toys. When they're older, one of the boys will move to the playroom, but they're still little. And I've read little kids should sleep in a calm, minimal room with toys separate for better sleep. So we're doing that for now. My brother has a daughter, Lucy. He and his wife married 2 years ago but weren't able to go on a honeymoon because Lucy was only a month old at the time. So they postponed it and things happened. So they're going now for their anniversary. They left yesterday for a week and I'm watching Lucy. They left in a hurry for their plane. So I took her things and unpacked. I put her in my daughter's room. It's a bit cramped, but for a week it'll do, and they don't spend all day in there anyway. We FaceTimed that night, right before her bedtime. I told them Lucy was sleeping with my daughter. And they didn't say anything to that except they wanted to call after everyone was in bed. So we called again. And they asked why Lucy had to share a room when they know the playroom is fine. I told them the playroom was very messy, my fault, and it was so cluttered and bright that Lucy might have trouble going to sleep. And my daughter still had room while the playroom would have to be emptied a bit to fit all her things. Edit equipment was not good wording. But they demanded I move her tomorrow. And I should have known their daughter deserved to be by herself since she is at home. So today, while everyone was at preschool playgroup, I set up her things in there. But I'm wondering if it really was a super bad thing to do. I didn't think it would matter, since they never told me she was to be by herself. But again, they probably assumed. I don't know if I did something terrible because they were acting like it was. Or if they're overreacting. They've texted every couple hours now to make sure I'm not forgetting things, and they've never done that before when I watched her in the past. So maybe they don't trust me anymore? IDK. Am I the asshole? Before anyone asks, I don't want to get my BF involved because he's stressed enough with school and work. Not the asshole, and I wouldn't have moved her. She's only 2 and sharing a bedroom with a cousin is an adventure. Especially if it's an older cousin. Not the asshole. What is wrong with a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old sleeping in the same room? Your brother and his wife have some nerve insisting that you modify perfectly sensible rooming arrangements. Not the asshole. The entitlement. Though there's another Reddit space. I don't remember the name, but something like beggars who are choosers. You should definitely post this there as well. They demand? Don't volunteer again. Gosh, she's only 2 years old. Not the asshole, she's 2 years old. She doesn't need her own room. Also, she's away from her parents and shouldn't be isolated for the happenings in your home. She'll do fine rooming with a big sister. The child you should be concerned about is your daughter. How did she react to having her cousin sleeping in the same room? Not the asshole. These people are extremely entitled and you should never babysit for them again. Don't be such a pushover. They're getting free childcare during their belated honeymoon. And they're complaining about their toddler daughter sharing a room? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. X200B. Tell them if they don't like your decision, they can show up and pick her up right now. Not the asshole. Why did you let them bully you like that? You are doing them a favor. Grow a spine and tell people to shut up. They can't demand that you watch their child, then tell you how. I would have told them to send their backup plan to pick her up. It's a week and they're getting free babysitting. Not the asshole. They're so entitled to their free babysitter. Your own boys share a room. Why did they think the girls wouldn't? Her situation at home has nothing to do with that at your place. Not the asshole. You should have told them to rush home from their honeymoon if their daughter needed her own room. You were silly to agree to clear out the playroom for her. She should share the actual bedroom. What in the world? With 3 little ones of your own, you are allowed to do whatever is necessary to make sure that everyone is happy, healthy and fed, not sleeping like a spoiled princess in their own little castle. I feel sorry for the child. Missing out on real-world connections for fantasy land. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She is staying in your home. You get to decide where guests sleep. On a complete side, this gives me renewed hope for our future. To have triplets at 19 and 21 years old and to be providing a wonderful home for them. Be as mature and thoughtful as you. A refreshing story to read. And no, you are not the asshole. Your brother should be thanking his lucky stars that he has you to help out. Not the asshole. They ain't being idiots. You are doing them a favor. They can STF you. Sharing a room with a cousin for an adventure holiday is part of the excitement. She doesn't need her own room. You have 4 kids to manage, they only deal with one. It's easier and better for you and for her to be with your daughter. Tell them if they have an issue with it, they are free to come back and pick her up. The playroom is a playroom. And you won't split your time checking in 3 bedrooms. She's been fine so far, so that's enough. They are similar age. She isn't sleeping in there with a 10 years old. Not the asshole. You are looking after her for a week, not a year. You might have made a mistake letting them get away with it. Not the asshole. Also, info: how much equipment does this 2-yo kid have? Not the asshole. How ridiculous. It's nicer for them to have company. She will miss her parents, but she has her cousin with her. Not the asshole. You provided your niece with a safe, comfortable place to sleep. There is nothing wrong with a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old sharing a room for a few days. For what it's worth, some of my favorite memories from my childhood were the cousin sleepovers. And whenever my nieces stay the night, they always want to bunk up in one bedroom with my daughters. 2 of the girls share the full-sized bed and the other 2 are in sleeping bags on the floor. They love being together. The daughter is 2 years old and in a strange house without her parents. Unless she's very unusual, I'd think she would greatly prefer sharing a room with her cousin than being alone in the night. The parents are just freaked out because they've never been away from her. I assume. Not the asshole. Good grief, I can't believe you caved on that ridiculous request. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Niece is staying for a week. Not moving in long term. Sharing a room with her cousin is fine. I would text them the following: niece seems to be happy spending time with her cousins. If you are genuinely worried about niece's welfare, please come home immediately to collect her. Otherwise, stop micromanaging. Enjoy your holiday and we will see you at the end of the week. Your brother and Sil might just be finding it much harder than they expected to be away from their baby behind for a week rather than they don't trust you. They are being annoying, but they are not rushing home either. I would try not to take it personally. Not the asshole and definitely overreacting. Kids love sharing rooms, beds. At least when it's temporary. You are doing them a favor, so they should just shut up or come back from their honeymoon at take their daughter. I don't know either where you found this idea about the toys, but my daughter always slept everywhere, including her room where her toys were, without any issue, and I never heard about that before. The room colors I can understand, but having an issue with the toys in the room seems strange to me.
Am I the asshole for not allowing my Mill to use the bathtub in our primary bedroom? Obviously this a throwaway because I don't want it tracked back to me. A little background information first: I barely have a relationship with my Mill because since we got engaged she has been a nightmare to deal with. She constantly meddles, stomps boundaries, is very judgmental and takes no responsibility for her actions. We were North Carolina with her for nearly a year, but since my husband resumed contact due to my Phil having a health scare, she has been on her best behavior. That is until last weekend. This morning she texted my husband asking if I was ready to apologize to her for making her trip miserable and making her feel unwelcome. I have her blocked again. Am I the asshole? For not just letting her use the bathtub? Not the asshole, she was pushing boundaries again. Your husband is a gem. You didn't ruin her trip, she did. By pushing boundaries and private spaces. Not the asshole. I'm glad your husband has your back because it doesn't seem like she's going to ever be able to stay on her best behavior for long. Not the asshole, laughing here, because Mill was apparently just itching to go through your things. Mill is the queen of obvious. Has she always been unbelievably immature, or do you suspect cognitive decline? To answer your question, there is no reason a guest should be hell-bent on bathing in your personal bathtub even if it was lined with clouds and spewed champagne fairy dust. Not the asshole. Your house, your bathroom. If there wasn't another bathroom to use, sure, she could use yours after she asked. Not the asshole. You can have whatever boundaries you want in your own home. Not using a private bathroom is a perfectly reasonable one. Ew, what? No thank you madam, sorry, but I think it is rude AF. Your home is not a hotel. If she wants bathtub amenities, then she can go to the hotel and receive them. She is the one who made the trip miserable because she is the one who rudely overstepped her bounds. Not the asshole, Obviously not the asshole. It was nice of you to open your home to her, you do not need to open your private room to her. Not the asshole. Mill is way out of bounds. Sounds like a timeout is in order at the minimum. Not the asshole. You did nothing wrong. And a polite guest, if they wanted to use something like the master bath, would have approached you and asked for permission first. She was basically up to her old tricks again, seeing if this warming was you backing down on your old position and seeing if she could establish dominance over you. Good for you for not backing down, and good for your husband for not backing down. You did not make her feel unwelcome, she abused your hospitality. Ha 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 ha, not the asshole, it's North Carolina time. The entitlement. Nope, not the asshole. In fact, congrats on now having another reason to go North Carolina with her entitled ass. Not the asshole, and do not apologize. She's not entitled to use your bathroom, whether her room has one or not. Good thing you caught her, because I bet she would have just gone in there and used it without asking. Not the asshole. Is your bathtub special? Like a whirlpool tub or a big soaking tub? If so, I can see why she'd ask to use it. But it's definitely okay to say I prefer you didn't. Not the asshole. Time to lay a new boundary. They're never staying in your house again, or allowed in it unsupervised. And no visit at all until she apologizes for her tantrum. Wow, no, not the asshole at all. This lady is loony. How dare you stop her from going though your stuff? What kind of beast are you? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She was a bad guest, you weren't a bad host. They ended up leaving early. And, problem solved. Not the asshole. Not the asshole X10000000. The audacity to tell you she's using your tub when she's robed up and ready to go is astonishing. Congratulations on being an adult and not stooping to petty levels like my brain. No Mill, you may not use our tub because my giant pulsating dragon dildo for your son is stuck to the side and I don't want to damage your frail sensitivities. Not the asshole. Sounds like Mill. She came for a visit and went snooping in my bedroom. The only reason I knew she was in there was because she made my bed, which means that she also found my vibrator. The next time she came to town, I had a lock put on my bedroom so that she couldn't enter it at will. We haven't spoken for a year, but that's another story. Not the asshole. Just tell her she was a bad guest, and until she learns how to behave properly she can stay at hotels next time. Lol no BC, my husband isn't even allowed to use my bathroom. Why would I allow my mill to use it? Yup, I'm that petty. If he can't clean it he can't use it. Lol. Not the asshole. This is a power play from her. Fuck that stupid cow. If my kids had a really cool tub in their ensuite bathroom, I'd politely ask if I could use it, and accept a no. But, they would actually let me, because I wouldn't snoop, and they know that. Respect works that way. Not the asshole. She just wanted extended time in your bedroom with a locked door to snoop. Double check your birth control, as Mrs. I have the right to be a grandma may have snuck in at another time and messed with it. Man, I was so worried we were going to have a story where the husband is spineless and agreed with his mommy, but your husband is a gem. Not the asshole. Open your mill sounds like a nightmare. Is it possible to cut contact with her and keep contact with Phil? Not the asshole. Earned another wonderful guest starring shot by a Reddit daughter-in-law who won't take boundaries stomping from a mill. Bravo also to the husband who backed her up. Mill, supposedly on good behavior after the last dust-up, was only biding her time, consulting with her goblin minions, learning the latest incantations, buying potions now with lanolin. She thought and thought. Where to attack? The bathroom in the master bedroom. But OP was ready. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Have your husband tell her you'll apologize when she apologizes for her behavior for being a poor guest in your home. She knew it was a boundary for you and wanted to cross it to prove she is more important. Dear Mill, Hilton, Marriott and Four Seasons, to name a few, have cool bathtubs. Call them. Not the asshole. She was definitely stomping all over your boundaries. Next time, make them stay in a hotel. Talk it over with your husband now and get him on board. Not the asshole, but I'd go no contact again. This was a test, and Mill failed it. If she can't respect a boundary as simple as guests are not allowed in the master bedroom, then she doesn't deserve to stay in your home. Not the asshole. I mean, obviously not. Hopefully, you can continuing being LC. Not the asshole. I can't help but think she was angling for another opportunity to snoop in your bedroom bathroom. Why demand to use the master ensuite when your guest room has one of its own? It's a pity your Phil is caught in the middle of all this. Not the asshole. She was asserting dominance over your personal space and boundary stomping. No apology necessary. Mill screwed up her own trip. If she wants to be a brat, keep her blocked. Way too long in the tooth to be behaving like a belligerent toddler past nap time. Not the asshole. I think she wanted to snoop around in your stuff again, and it wouldn't surprise me if she did something like taking a dump in your bathtub. Not the asshole. No, she is trying to stomp boundaries again and go snooping again. Hold your ground. You dealt well with this kind of stuff. She was rude and nosy. It has less to do with the tub and more to do with an opportunity to lock the door and rifle through your medicine chest. Not the asshole. Being a guest in someone's home doesn't mean you get to make really unreasonable demands of your hosts and have them honored. Not the asshole. I will be locking all doors when the in-laws come to visit. Not the asshole. She was testing your resolve and was probably planning to go through your medicine cabinet. Not the asshole. 100 Did you post the story of you going North Carolina on Reddit because the story sounds super familiar? Not the asshole. She rooted in your bedroom, rifling through knicker drawers and whatnot, finding dildos etc., and after some silence from yourselves now re-enters your life and tries to take over your house. She needs removing from your life, for good.
Am I the asshole for refusing to hear anything medical about my friend's pregnancy? I am at the end of my life expectancy. It's entirely possible I could live longer because of taking good care of myself. But the average is late 30s. My mother had the same condition I do and died at age 22 from childbirth. I decided to never have children to avoid passing my disease on 50 chance or leaving children behind for someone else to raise, potentially knowing they ended their own mother's life, which was honestly a really crappy way to grow up. I joined a support group online 10 years ago, and in that time, while we have gained new members, we've lost a number to age, and a number of women to pregnancy and childbirth complications. One of my closest friends, Margie, has decided to have a baby with her husband. My platonic partner caretaker of 15 years, Jim 41M, and I live an hour away. And while her husband has been working as much overtime as he can to earn extra time off, Jim has been the one driving her to her appointments and bringing me to spend time with her so she hasn't been alone as much. My one and only rule is I don't want to know specifics about her pregnancy-related medical issues. Because of personal trauma, she is entitled to make her own decisions about her life. I'm entitled to my feelings. And I don't want to know, so I can rein in my feelings and be respectful. She has a medical folder with updates about her current condition in the event of an emergency. Jim and I aren't being paid for our time, gas, etc. It's all volunteer. However, as her pregnancy has progressed and things have started to get worse, she keeps trying to slip things in. On Friday she brought it up again. I asked if she needed us to call 911 and her husband. She said no, and I lost my temper and told her, "Then stop bringing it up. I have one rule and you keep trying to break it. Unless you need medical attention, can we please talk about something else?" She cried silently for nearly an hour even after I apologized and then told Jim and I to not bother showing up for Labor Day when we left, which left her husband confused because she wouldn't tell him what happened. I gave him the number for my therapist who specializes in palliative care patients because I know she needs support, and I feel bad for hurting her feelings. But I don't want to be her therapist as she faces the reality of her decision. I don't want her dumping her health on me. Not while I'm dealing with mine. Am I the asshole? I'm going to go ahead and say not the asshole. If she agreed to not talk about it for your personal mental health, she shouldn't. If she needs someone to talk to about it, she can make another friend or hire a therapist. You were very open and honest with her and she is choosing to ignore your boundary. She needs to understand that you are offering her all of the support you are able to, while keeping yourself mentally healthy. Additionally, if she wanted to bring it up and was really struggling, she should ask you about it beforehand to give you some warning at least, rather than trying to slip it in. Edit grammar. Not the asshole. You have one boundary and she is not respecting that. She surely has other people she could talk about the medical issues. She just chooses the one person that cannot be the supportive friend in this one area. Also very sorry to hear that you are terminal. Hope you still find comfort and joy in the time you have left. I have mitochondrial disease. Is it anywhere near that disease? Mine has no cure or treatment either. I don't like the talks either. I just want to live as long as I can. Does she have the same condition as you? I understand that you want to support her, but you can't provide the full support system that she needs all by yourself. That can be said for lots of people, not just people going through what the two of you are. She should not be depending on you alone. So hopefully she takes you up on the therapist. That being said, you set forth boundaries, and if she agreed to that, she's the for trying to step on that. Not the asshole. And I wish you both the best. Not the asshole. Does Margie have the same or similar condition to you? Your post makes it seem like Margie is at a high risk of dying due to her pregnancy. But it isn't clear and I'm not so sure why it's so doom and gloom. Either way, you're not an asshole. You are offering her lots of support, but you made your one boundary very clear and she keep violating it. Nah, y'all are doing your best. Nah, Really. Sometimes you're not the right person to talk about a topic with due to your own mental landscape. You can't be her friend to talk this over with. You can be her friend for many other things. She's not wrong for wanting a friend she can talk about this with. That friend just can't be you. That sucks for both of you. It's a hard place to be. I hope both of you get what you need. Not the asshole. You are setting a boundary in order to maintain your mental health. I wish you all the best in maintaining your physical health as well. Can anyone enlighten me on what this disease is? Not the asshole, and you have me insanely curious about this disease. And I'm hoping hard that your choices mean much more longevity. Not the asshole. If it's a trigger for you, then she needs to respect your boundaries. You warned her and she's tried to ignore that. That is the behavior of a self-centered person. Not the asshole at all. You set the boundary with her from the start. You and Jim are already going above and beyond. It sounds like she is struggling with the reality of her situation. I can't imagine what it's like for her parents either, knowing that she is willingly bringing a child into the world she will not be able to care for ultimately. I wonder if that is the bigger reason they are distancing themselves versus her condition in general. AITA take space. It sounds like your needs and her needs aren't compatible right now. She needs to find another support system for a bit. Not the asshole. Her choice is just that. Hers. You are not obligated to let her trauma dump. Especially on the one issues you've specifically asked her not to. She is TA, not you. Absolutely not the asshole. You were going above and beyond to offer her the support you could. And she repeatedly and selfishly disrespected your boundaries. It seems to be for the best that you keep your distance for now. And let her deal on her own with the consequences of her decision. Since she seems unable to respect the one clear boundary you set. Not the asshole. You're both in a shitty position, but you put down a boundary for your mental health. Her pregnancy does not trump your mental health. You're dealing with a huge issue. And for her to knowingly add to it is cruel and unfair. Pregnant people always think their pregnancy is so much more important than everyone else's lives. And it's frustrating as hell. Not the asshole. I will never understand why someone with a deadly genetic disease chooses to have children. Even if it wasn't something that was going to likely kill her just giving birth. That's if she even makes it long enough for the child to be born. Even if the odds are good that it won't be passed on. Essentially, she and her husband are playing Russian roulette with their baby's life. Of course, it is their decision. Emo. It is a very selfish one. Not the asshole. But have you had time to internalize she might not make it through the pregnancy? Maybe this is triggering you so badly because you know what might wait at the end of this lane. You need to take time and space for yourself, but also know that if you close the door completely you might not see her again, and that will be even harder to get through. Take time and reflect. Maybe try to ignore the pregnancy talk. Maybe just change the subject. But don't close and lock the door on her. Not the asshole. This is a reasonable boundary that you made to protect yourself and your friendship. Not being an asshole doesn't mean this situation isn't brutal on the both of you, but I'm proud of you for setting limitations that honor yourself and your care for your friend. Nah. I feel like if you two discussed the decision she has made, it would just get really messy and painful. What you said needed to be said in order to prevent more pain on both sides. And she needed to hear it to understand and reinforce that boundary.